Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Benjamin.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, actually.
That's good.
I got new stuff. I've been having a good time.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Are you having a good time this morning?
I'm having a good. I've been okay. So I was up late last night just thinking about stuff.
Of course.
And I like doing that, but I am a bit sleep deprived.
Okay. Well, I'm sleep deprived because I couldn't fall asleep.
Oh,
So we're in a similar boat. But don't you worry. I have stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, that's good. It used to be that when we first started this podcast, we had this idea where we'd have a starting topic and we'd talk about it, and then that would branch off into a bunch of other discussions.
Oh, bro, I got one of those.
You do?
I got one of those. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because a running problem we have is that we don't actually have starting topics. Like, we'll have things that we want to talk about, but I always have a thing I want to talk about, but I never want it to be the starting topic ever.
Weird.
On the other hand, we haven't been doing anything except playing Hollow Knight Silk Song, so that's been the only reasonable starting topic every single week.
We're gonna have to talk about that some more because I want to hear about your progress.
I don't want to get into my progress. I haven't made much progress.
Well, neither have I. I want to talk about my 3D printing adventures.
Okay.
That's going to be a good time. And I get to tell the viewers that you inspired me.
I want to talk about Dark Souls again.
Okay. You want to talk about just Dark Souls or
I want to talk about difficulty. And yeah, that's
Gotcha.
the extent I want to talk about Silk Song.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
But what are we talking about to start? What's our starting topic this week?
I want to talk this week, to start off, I want to talk about a game I played. A mutual friend of ours happens to be your brother and frequent guest of the show.
Frequent guest. He's shown up
guest.
twice already.
Two times.
We've got plans to make him show up again later.
Yeah. Ran a game for me. A game that he's in the process of creating, I guess would be the way to put it, called Tricks and Treats. I want to talk to you about it and tell you about my game and how the fun that I had.
So this is kind of a weird way of talking about this, because this is Alex's game that he is creating.
Yes.
He's already come onto the show. He's talked about RPGs before. He's obviously extremely knowledgeable about RPGs.
The most knowledgeable.
Yeah, more than anybody I know. And this is his own RPG that he is making.
Yes.
So obviously he should have some input on it, but
No.
I think I kind of want to have okay, this is me as a player having a, well, not completely unbiased perspective, but
this is an incredibly biased perspective.
It's incredibly biased perspective, but not biased in the I created this game so I can tell you this is how it's supposed to work. It's no, I've played this game and this is how well it's worked from my experience.
Yeah.
Because you've been playtesting for him.
Technically, I guess, for years now, want to get technical?
Yeah, and I know at least one of the playtesting sessions didn't go the way Alex wanted, but most of them turn out pretty well.
Yeah,
He's
so
pretty good at what he does.
let's go over some history. So years ago, I want to say 2 to 3 years ago, somewhere in that area, me, my friend Aiden, who's been one of my friends for my whole life, his girlfriend at the time, now wife, Macy, Nathan, one of my other best friends of all time, and then I think our friend Alex played 3 sessions, all in the span of October, of Tricks and Treats. I actually ended up not playing one of those sessions because I was just not feeling up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was back then. Even then, it was a great time. I can't remember exactly what we did. I remember one of them involved pumpkins. But the idea of the game, the premise, the idea, is that you are playing as kids. You're playing as children in the early 2000s, and you're trick or treating.
Yeah, the early 2000s is kind of important for his world building because
it's notably important
because he focuses it a lot on real world nostalgia. He's got an age demographic he's targeting here.
Yes, and what's fun about that is that I think I knew that when I first played it, all the way back when I first played it, but my memories have have completely glossed over that, and I just remember playing in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. He does it so well.
He's really good at world building and all, and I know that intrinsically we had a cell phone or something at some point in the game, but I don't remember that. I remember playing in the 90s. This last Saturday and tomorrow and another time in this month or next month, I think. I'm playing a session with him, and the most recent one I played was the session involving the downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise is that you and your friends are going downtown for trick-or-treating this year, and your parents are dropping you off, and you're just like let to roam.
Yep. And to give a further idea of like the overall structure, because this is a Halloween themed game. He wants people to play it like every Halloween, and the idea is he's got multiple like story arcs figured out.
Yep.
Where I think always a 3-act structure.
Yeah.
Where like you play as a group of kids who go on like have a Halloween adventure one year, a second year, and then a third year in a row, and then a different group of kids in like a different environment. So like the first set were from like a small town like suburb kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now you're doing the city urban kids, and like their experience. If I am remembering how Alex described this to me correctly, he's going to come onto the show and explain all of this because this episode will piss him the hell off.
Yep. Can't wait.
Because we're gonna do such a bad job describing his work and.
Yes. It's
but
gonna be great.
that just gives him the opportunity to come on and explain it better. So there you go.
I don't know. I don't remember there being any specific notes about being from the downtown or where you actually from in the game. I just remember going downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the next session is going to be involving an amusement park.
Yeah.
To what degree, I don't exactly know. But I know that this session was all about starting at downtown. And I'm going to tell you about my character. I'm going to tell you about some of the other characters the other people are playing.
Okay.
And then we're going to go from there. I was playing as Regicide Reggie.
Okay, that's an interesting name for a kid.
Well, so he has you make a spooky name.
Okay.
For every character. Mine was Regicide Reggie. My costume was because you have to have a costume. I don't know if that was made clear earlier. You need to have a costume when you play this. Not in real life, unless you're really dedicated. But in the game, you're wearing a costume and you get some items and everything, and that's kind of like your RPG stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing half of a horse.
Who was the other half of the horse?
Well, see, here's the thing. There is no other half.
Oh, your partner didn't show up to Halloween for trick-or-treating this year?
Well,
That's sad.
The way that I explained it to Alex is that my character has an online friend in, I think, Denmark or Finland that we're really close friends, and we've been trying the whole year to get him to come to America to be the second half of the horse to do Halloween.
That's so good.
But we couldn't do it, so what we did instead is I sent him half of the horse. He got the back half because I was the one who bought it, and then we pretended like they got cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in the front half alone with a cut in half horse, and he was celebrating in his town with the other half. I have no idea if Finland or whatever celebrates.
I don't know either, but it doesn't
Halloween.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Then we also had my buddy Nathan. Nathan was playing a football jock. Now, viewers and listeners, you do not know Nathan, most of you, except for like 2 of you. This does not match with Nathan's personality on any level. Nathan is not, he's not athletic. He like skateboards and he played some soccer as a child, but he was not a jock. To describe this man as a jock would be like describing me as a jock. It doesn't work. So he was playing that character.
He's playing Flash Thompson.
He was also he was a linebacker. No, he's not a linebacker. That's what I suggested. He was a running back for the local football team.
Okay.
But he wanted to be a quarterback, but he couldn't throw for shit.
Okay.
We also had my buddy Aiden. He was playing he kind of just plays these as like a version of himself that's more pathetic than I always interpreted him as. His version of himself was a very like timid boy who was constantly terrified of everything. He played as a GoBot.
Okay. Wait, what was the high school jock's costume?
He was just a football player. He didn't bring a costume. He just.
Oh, okay. he was just that guy. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I forgot to mention it.
That's fucking hilarious. Okay, keep going.
And then Macy, they were playing as what's the one character from the Corpse Bride? I think.
The corpse?
No, sorry, Nightmare Before Christmas. Sally.
Sally. Okay.
She was Sally. She was dressed as Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Classic costume.
Yeah.
Classic.
Macy also notably has a reputation in these games for getting the story right, like the beat for the story right instantaneously. Like, it's kind of insane. And then we had our friend Joe. He was playing as Luigi.
Great.
Yeah. I think that was everyone. But we started off the game. We got dropped off at McDonald's, and then we wandered around the area. I have a map of it, but I can't show it on screen. I might have it like in post.
Yeah, so we have the difficult position of trying not to spoil the adventure for anyone who wants to play it, and also not ruin the description of the actual game design for the sake of Alex not flying out back to my hometown and strangling me.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So we started off at McDonald's. We got dropped off by Macy's in-game brother Crowley, I think his name was.
Okay.
He's like a bum. He's like a fucking like a loser.
Okay, loser older brother, got it.
Yeah. We got dropped off by him.
Smokes weed, owns a van.
He owns. One of the things you can do in this one is decide what's like in his car.
I just assumed the car was going to be a thing.
It is the thing,
It
but
was
like
the thing. These plot beats are so good. Alex, like, he knows all the tropes. He knows all the cliches. He plays with them so fucking well. Like, in one of the other adventures, not this one, the players will, like, one player is going to have a troublesome dog named Beans.
that's this one.
That is this one?
That is this one specifically.
Oh, I spoiled it. I'm so sorry.
And what was hilarious about that is that Alex, he explained the reason that he named the dog Beans.
Yeah, you don't get to name the dog. Usually he lets the players name things.
Yeah. But this time he was like, I think it'd be really funny for the dog being Beans, because nobody's going to name their dog Beans. Aiden and Macy have a cat named Beans. Alex did not know that. But
No,
they just happened
The point is to have this troublesome dog, and the trick to get your players to always have to shout, Beans, no! Get out of there!
I don't really think that affected us very much. We're a lot more chaotic of a group than I think is reasonable.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, we started off at McDonald's, right? We also forgot about the dog, notably, for most of it. A lot of it. Like, we totally forgot it existed, including Alex.
Okay.
We started at McDonald's. We started going toward an auto shop and just doing all that stuff. My character's, like, entire, like, raison d'etre existence-based everything was getting candy.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I cared about.
It's a proper goal to have on Halloween.
That's what I felt. Everybody had a specific, like, they had goals and stuff as part of this. Mine was I couldn't, wait, was that the goal or was that the other thing? Hold on, don't worry. We'll get here.
While he's looking that up, for our viewers that are watching, this piece of art we have displayed on the screen is one that Alex created himself. He is beyond just an RPG guy. He is also a really talented artist. And this is not for the adventure specifically. That's for a different one where they go on like a harvest field trip kind of thing, where they go do like a corn hay maze.
I think that was specifically the one that I missed.
Oh, that's the one you missed?
Yeah.
That one sounded really cool.
Yeah, I heard it was really cool.
Yeah, you got a lot of different Halloween premises. Like, that one is specifically like the school field trip.
I also heard that I needed to be there, but I wasn't. Like, retroactively, they were like, you should have gone to that. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I will not miss another one. My parents forbade me from going to the trick-or-treating in this context.
Oh, no.
This did not come up
Dang.
unfortunately. Because it just didn't really make sense for it to come up. But yeah. Nathan had a goal. He was trying to throw a football farther than he's ever thrown.
Okay.
Which was hilarious because he never thrown them that far, apparently. Aiden's goal... Aiden had a thing where one of the mean girls in the game had said that she was going to kiss his character at 7 o'clock that night at the railroads, and he had to go there and do that. This will come up later. This little factor will come up later. We need to talk about Aiden, but not right now. Joe and I, so that was my, thing to worry about. That was my detriment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was to just maintain being awesome.
Yeah.
This is the easy one. So that was the same as Joe's. Macy's goal? I cannot remember what Macy's goal was. Because Macy just kind of, again, immediately sniped how to win in this concept instantaneously. So she didn't even really need a goal.
The thing is, the way Alex designs adventures and designs his content, he's very good at, like, coming up with all the different threads and then figuring out in the game, the improvisational aspect, which threads to pull on, you know? Like, you have, like, all these ideas for your characters, but one of the reasons why the entire adventure is set around Halloween is because Halloween, it always has that goal of just get candy.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense if you're a kid, you want to get candy. And another thing that he loves about the whole Halloween setting and the playing as kids is that it's just fun to roleplay.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to come up with ideas. It's so easy to imagine yourself there. Like, so long as you have experienced being a kid on Halloween, you already know what to do. And it gives you the opportunity to play as different stereotypes, different ideas. You know, you have the whole costume aspect of it.
It's really, he's just so good at making it.
So yeah, that's Trick or Treats. You play as kids on Halloween and you do Halloween stuff and Halloween story occurs. How much farther do you want to go with your description? Like you said, you didn't want to spoil too much, but there is one noticeable thing we haven't talked about yet.
Yes, there's a specific thing I wanted to tell you about. Wait, what was the thing? Are you thinking about the same thing I'm thinking of? What are you thinking of?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So I have to tell you about Aiden.
Okay.
So, okay. Without getting in depth, a lot of the story of this game revolves, of this specific adventure revolves, like, a thing happening. And the players can affect how that thing happens. You kind of know what I'm talking about, Ben, but they don't necessarily.
Yeah, you want to try to preserve that one. We might have to just do a spoiler warning. Because, like, to fully describe how the adventures work.
We don't have to go in. Well, we can only go into this adventure to this depth, you know. So I'm fine with it. Aiden. One thing I will spoil is that the mean girl that says she's gonna kiss Aiden's character, that isn't a thing.
Okay.
That's like a prank. That's the idea. And it's kind of like obvious from the very get-go, but Aiden's character was like 12, so obviously they didn't really think about it in that context.
And the idea is to get the players to go to the railroad.
Exactly. They want them to go that area and see this and all that whatnot. Well, we split the party, as we often do in these games.
Yeah.
Aiden and Macy went to go to the railroad to deal with that. The rest of us went to do other stuff. I went to a pizza place. It was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Another notable thing is that throughout the vast majority of this, Nathan's character just never saw the bad thing.
The bad thing.
He just never saw it.
If we keep dancing around the topic, like, we are going to have to spoil some of it.
It's okay. It's fine, Ben. He just no. He never saw it. So Aiden and Macy go there. Aiden gets stood up, obviously, in this context. Macy gives them a Hershey kiss. It's really cute. Everything. Later in the game, Aiden uses the method of affecting the bad thing to try and kill the person who stood him up.
Why? Jeez.
Okay. I don't think that he thought about it.
Okay, that's not going to make any sense to our listeners. Okay. Tiny spoilers warning. I'm not going to get too deep into the adventure itself, but like one of the premises of Trick or Treats that we've been dancing around is that it's not just about being on Halloween.
No,
there's always a monster. A monster appears.
There's monsters.
You know, like a Halloween adventure that involves like, you know, an alien invasion or like a spooky there was a haunted house for one of his
haunted
adventures.
Mansion, yeah.
And the premise of every Trick or Treat thing is that there's a involved puzzle monster that haunts the town, and you play in a sandbox environment trying to figure out how to defeat it.
Yeah.
But every adventure, and this is the thing that, you know, we didn't want to spoil because it plays out really well every single time for anyone who's never played Trick or Treats before, is that you don't know about the monster. You're just playing an RPG about trick or treating, and it actually is really fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's the game for a little bit. And then, what the fuck, there's aliens?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's so good.
Aiden used the monster to try to kill the person who stood him up.
And we won't spoil the monster for that for this adventure.
No.
For the downtown trick-or-treating thing. But maybe for, like, his first adventure, I could talk a little bit about that one. Or maybe we should wait till Alex comes on to talk about that
Yeah,
adventure.
we should wait because like I don't remember. I played that one. I know I did. I don't remember most of it. I remember the ending of it, but I don't remember the beginning.
Every single one of them. Well, the ending of it. That's funny because like the ending is the only thing he doesn't write. You know.
Yeah.
Like you just have the way Alex makes these games is he has a setup. He's got an environment. And he's got tons of characters and factions and things that can happen and ways that they're going to interact and logical, ways they're going to behave based on, like, the things that happen. And he's got, like, a timeline of events that's going to play out as people are trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
So, like, it starts off, everything's normal, you're just trick-or-treating, having fun. And then, as time passes, which he's keeping track of as a DM, this is when this character is going to get, eaten by an alien.
You're going to watch this
character. And he gives you reasons to, like, be in these places at the right time. But not necessarily. There's just lots and lots of little threads, and any of them can work.
Like
they all come together. They play together.
It can work the same as what happened with Nathan, where he just never saw the monster for the majority of the game.
See, this is why I wanted to talk about it before Alex, because I want to try to describe his RPG in the same way he describes like Traveler.
Yes. That's like the fun part is like you can be a regular kid for such a long time, but eventually you'll find the monster will appear, the thing will happen, and you'll be like, oh no, what do we do? Or you'll play Nathan, and Nathan just never saw it, and then we'd go to Nathan and be like, yeah, no, this happened, and he'd be like, nah. That doesn't make any sense because he's playing a rational person.
He's playing the fucking annoying football player jock who didn't even bother wearing a costume because he's too cool for that apparently.
It was great. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the end of it, the wrap up to the next one. So Aiden tries to kill someone that ends up being rather important detail for the rest of the friend group.
Wow.
Because obviously.
Obviously.
Then into the next session. Through that period of time, the monster ends up getting covered up.
What do you mean?
Like the town doesn't acknowledge that happened.
Oh yeah, that's a running joke he's got.
So my character starts a blog, like a conspiracy blog.
I love that.
Because I'm trying to get the word out, man. This happened. But like nobody believes me because like that doesn't sound right. And Aiden's character joins me in that.
That's so the next session, you haven't played it yet, but I already know what's going to happen because I hear about every single adventure as it's being built.
Gotcha.
And I get to contribute ideas and stuff. So, like, minor spoiler, you already know that it's going to take place at a circus or a carnival or something like that.
The amusement park.
An amusement park, yeah. Specifically, it's an amusement park because it's based on our town's local amusement park.
Yes.
That's how he nails the nostalgia. So he just uses his real nostalgia.
He showed us the map, and I was like, I know that.
I recognize that. It works really because he also playtests with a bunch of people where he lives over
in Washington.
Yeah, he lives in D.C. and he's got like people there. So he plays tests with a lot of groups. So obviously, you do not need to be from our hometown specifically to enjoy these adventures.
No,
it's just that there is a level of authenticity that comes with using it as the inspiration.
Yeah.
But the idea would be is that the next session you're going to be playing is going to be the next year's Halloween.
Yep.
Or around that Halloween season time. I don't think every single adventure necessarily takes place on Halloween itself. They're not always trick-or-treating adventures.
I don't think so. I think the third one that we played last time did not take place on Halloween. But the premise of that one... the third one we played was the one based in the mansion. Mm-hmm. We played that one before he got most of the stuff ironed out. We played a very rough version of that.
Yeah, that was the first bad playtesting session he ever told me about, and he wound up having to improvise a lot in order to fix your guys' game. But then he ended up having to rework the adventure because of that playtest.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to point out, it's like, so now you have your story of the one character who became a conspiracy theorist because of that one Halloween.
Yeah.
And now you're going into that as that character into your next Halloween when even more crazy stuff happens.
It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
If you like, I think he's kind of sick of the comparison, but it works so well. If you like Stranger Things, this is the Stranger Things RPG. He designed it. And he nailed it. Like, he's nailed it. When he finally finishes it, he's got, like, a outline of, like, what the entire project is going to look like. He's got a full campaign, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
that's probably going to end up being his like first published product.
Yeah.
Or I hope so. I think it deserves it.
I should also mention it's definitely better than Stranger Things. But I don't really like Stranger Things that much. I thought season 1 was cool. I didn't care for any other part of it.
It is a RPG that is designed around capturing the magic of Stranger Things season 1 over and over and over again every time you play.
And it's perfect.
And it does it perfectly.
Every time. And I love every time. I love when I play, because most of the people I'm playing with right now don't really play RPGs very often.
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple of them do, but like Macy and Aiden, for example, they don't really at all. Mostly because they have a child.
Yeah.
But I mentioned this, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll get a sitter."
It's worth it
for three nights. It's great.
Well, it is a very, very low low crunch game.
Yes, low crunch.
There is no math. You do not build a character. There's no session 0 where you've got to iron out like all the starting stuff before you can actually begin.
It's a D6 system. Everybody has a D6 somewhere.
Yeah, and again, character creation. You're playing as kids on Halloween.
Yeah.
You do not have to put that much effort into it. But the experience you get out of it...
I made the entirety of Regicide Reggie inside of like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like... And that was... Most of that was waiting for Alex to get back to me.
And he's got a great like character arc that... I mean, it's almost a cliche. Like, you became the conspiracy. Like, this is already a character I've seen in similar stories, you know? I think there's one in Stranger Things, right?
I don't remember.
But, like, it works so well. Like, Alex is good at, like, designing the systems to create the stories, rather than writing the stories, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Yeah, no.
It's a lot of what we talked about with Traveler last week.
He's very good at creating the scenario where you're going to create a story. He doesn't necessarily need to make the story for it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He just creates the way for you to do it.
Yeah.
Paves the path.
So, listeners, look forward to our next hater episode when Alex comes on the show and tells us how much he hates how we talked about his game without him.
He's going to despise that. It's going to be great.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Trick or Treat, or is it, like, impossible without spoiling too much?
I think it's probably impossible. I also remember a little less of it than I wanted to. Tomorrow, I'm going to be writing more notes. I was trying to write notes, but I forgot most of the stuff, and I left in kind of a hurry.
Dang.
I actually forgot my dice.
Oh, no.
I have a bucket of dice, and I forgot the whole bucket.
The whole bucket?
Including my other dice that I keep outside of the bucket that are special.
I see.
All right, Ben. Do you want to talk about difficulty, or you want me to tell you about my 3D printing stuff?
I want you to tell me about the 3D printing stuff, because it's been sitting in front of me, and I opened up this one already, and I am so... This is a little treasure chest in front of me, and I love it.
So, Ben and I love Twilight Imperium. I think we've talked about it. Maybe once. I don't know.
Maybe once.
My goal when I got a 3D printer is I want to print out and make all the stuff for box inserts for board games. I don't know if I've told the viewers this. You know this. One of my favorite things about board games is not playing them necessarily or anything like that. It's designing the inserts on the inside.
I was going to say it's the physical ownership of the game, but...
No.
It's the project that you make yourself as part of being an owner of the game.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is that you bought your own copy of Twilight Imperium.
Yep.
I already had a copy of Twilight Imperium.
Yep.
Twilight Imperium is not a cheap game.
No.
But you're like, I need to have my own copy, even though I'm never going to play this without Ben probably, but I want to have it for myself. Because I don't like the way Ben organized it.
No, I don't like the way you organize it to this day. It's all bags. It sucks. And even before I had a 3D printer, I created like an entire path and method of making the inserts for my box. I made my own unit boxes out of like these things I found at Walmart and a shitload of duct tape. I spent another like $150 on top of the game cost to edit it, to modify the game box. Then I bought a 3D printer. And I've wanted these guys forever. You can kind of see it on the screen, I believe.
So it's not completely obvious because the biggest tile piece, is the home planet. But each one of these little boxes has all the pieces necessary for an entire faction.
Yep.
Starting with their home planet and their unique tiles and their unique cards, and they're all set up in this frame that I want to show off to the camera without accidentally dumping the tokens inside everywhere.
You're doing what you can. It's fine. So This is actually created by somebody else. I don't remember exactly who, and I might do my own video on my own channel about the whole process of making these because I think it's kind of interesting. This part is entirely made by somebody else. I didn't make this bit. I did nothing with this. What I did do is I edited this.
The lid to it. Now, I'm guessing you added the little window for the faction symbol?
Actually,
no, that was already there?
The faction was already there. What wasn't there were these slots on the side. They're difficult to see for our camera and our viewers. But you can kind of see it like here and down here. These little slots on the sides. So last week when I was showing off my 3D printing stuff, you commented on my fleet stand that I printed out. And you was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's a fleet stand, right? But you thought that this whole thing was a fleet stand.
Yeah, I figured you'd just, like, put it on well, you had like a little structure with the legs still attached, and I thought you just put this on top, put the fleets on top of that.
Well, I talked about how one of the things I disliked about that fleet stand and all fleet stands is that their legs suck.
Yeah, the legs always suck.
They break every time. So the replacement for that, the easy replacement, is to just add legs to something that's already hexagonal.
That's what those are.
And this thought process of using it this way and adding it as a result on this thing was your inspiration to me.
Holy shit, you've been fucking sitting with this magic trick on the fucking table this entire time?
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. That's so cool.
So fleet stands are kind of not necessarily important, but you want them in the game. They make the game better.
Viewers or listeners who do not watch the YouTube, my mouth is just gaped open. I'm like, this is so clever.
Dude, and it was technically your idea because you came up with the idea of putting it on this, and I had already had plans to create fleet stands in this manner because I was like, the thing I hate about fleet stands is that they always fucking break because the legs break. So I want to make sure the legs are replaceable. And then I was like, oh, I could use the lid of this guy as the fleet stand. Then I'd have a shitload of fleet stands. All I would ever need to do is replace the legs if they ever needed replaced. And then I did it, and it works.
It is brilliant. I am astonished by your cleverness.
The only thing that sucks about it is the window. But honestly, like if you're playing if you're playing it, get over it.
Well, I like the idea of like pushing little fighters out as they get killed.
Or if you want to do the drop down.
Oh yeah. You push the infantry out and they land on the planet. That's actually really funny. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I was so happy with how it turned out. If I do I might do again. I was saying I'm probably gonna do a video where I explain in better detail the thought process behind this, because I think it's kind of interesting. Because I couldn't just like add stuff, because the way these are printed is like this, from the bottom up. So this face is on the bottom. So I can't add anything here really, without it being an issue. So I didn't do that. I had to remove stuff, but still have stuff be added to it, and I did it with this design that I'm rather happy with.
You should sell this one. This is actually a legitimately smart idea.
I can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
I got this bit off of somebody else, so they have commercial use, or they don't allow people to use commercial use of their stuff, which is totally fair.
How much do you enjoy the process of just like tinkering and like getting a project to work?
A lot, but like if I spend too much time on it while failing, I will give up.
Like for our listeners, when I got a Steam controller, for instance, like Steam controllers are very customizable, but they don't necessarily like work for every single game right out of the box.
Yeah.
So a lot of games will have like perfectly like already designed inputs for the Steam controller. A lot of them will just go by like a universal template that you can apply to it. And other ones you gotta like go game by game, and you're like, if I really, really want to like customize my thing, like there's a tinkering process. It's really satisfying to figure out. And like my big thing with the Steam controller is like I got to a point where I finished the project. I like got everything working the way I wanted to do, and that was it. My interest in the Steam controller ended. I didn't even really want to use it as a controller anymore at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's a bad controller.
I mean, it is a bad controller. Like, its biggest advantage was that it had buttons on the back, which, like, any controller can be designed to have buttons on the back.
A lot of them do now, in fact. I have an 8-bit Duo that does that, or 8-bit Do.
The PlayStation, they like, before PS5, the latest PS4 controllers, they added in an attachment.
They have bumpers. They have that and bumpers on certain Xbox controllers.
Yeah, and it's just nice. Just extra buttons.
But, like, besides that, the Steam controller's other thing was, like, touchscreen D-pads, and it's like, ew.
It had, like, track pads, which... So, it made the Steam controller better for using my like sitting and using Windows
Yeah,
from my couch. Like it was probably my favorite way to do that.
but that's
But
like it.
I was never gonna play a first-person shooter using a trackpad.
No.
I wasn't ever gonna play like an RPG controlling, all menu functionality using a trackpad mouse.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but no, for me, just creating the methods for fitting everything into the box, which is hilarious because I made all of these now. There's 24 of them, I think, for each faction, and then I'll have the rest for the new factions that are coming out for the next one. Doesn't fit in the box anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's funny.
I have to now obtain a box for temporary use.
I am so annoyed that I didn't think that the next Twilight Imperium expansion was going to add more factions. I'm like, okay, they have 24 factions. They're going to stop for a while, right?
I did not have that. I did not believe. No.
You assume they were going to keep adding more factions?
I think that I would much prefer. I think we're in the same boat here. I'd much prefer if they just made 5th edition already.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they do another expansion, it's going to have even more factions because the factions.
Well, they already did the expansion. They already have the new factions. Now the question
I'm
is,
talking
are they gonna
about
have a third expansion.
That's what I'm talking about. A
No,
third one.
They better not.
I don't want them to.
I will like fucking torch and pitchfork in hand storm Fantasy Flight offices. I'm like, just 5th edition now.
But the thing is, like, factions. Every time you get one of these games, factions and like heroes, that's the stuff you want the most.
Yeah, it's what's being sold.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for Twilight Imperium because they know that a big part of their market base are the obsessive fans and the competitive players.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can't balance around them by adding more stuff. Like
No.
the more you add stuff, the harder it is to like appease that group because that group wants a really, tight balanced game. And Twilight Imperium is never been a tight and balanced game.
No. It also shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be.
No, maybe that's the good thing, though. Maybe them adding more factions is going to improve that gap. And also, every time they do a codex, that changes the entirety of the whole game. And it's also it's so annoying when you have to like make all the stuff for the codexes. That's actually the main reason I'm buying the expansion, is so that I don't have to use the stuff we printed.
Exactly. That's stuff you printed. Because I went out of my way with the... I have sleeves on all the cards, which is insane to me. Like classic board gamers are like, sleeving your cards is normal, but like people who don't play board games, I'm like, why on earth would you go through so much effort? And Twilight Imperium was the game that made me realize it's sometimes worth going through the effort.
Yeah, it just makes the whole experience a lot better.
And then it became printing out custom cards for the expansion thing and sleeving those cards and making sure you had different size cards because they all had to be like certain sizes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like the do-it-yourself. I like the DIY. I like the projects. I like the problem-solving part of board games, of just board game ownership.
Yeah, I like that bit, but my problem with those is like, if you don't get really good versions, they don't look right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like, my versions of these cards are worse than yours, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They just didn't print as well. And it's not like anyone's necessarily fault. That's just how it happened. So I can tell every time it's not a regular one. I can go, that isn't right.
The first edition of, or not the first printing of the Prophecy of Kings expansion, everyone got pissed off by the mech colors because the colors does not match the original colors.
No.
Like, it's the same plastic, but whatever printing process they used, like, this appears as a little lighter yellow than that yellow, and it stands out, and it hits that part of my brain.
I think pink's the one that's the most ridiculous, because, like, pink's, like, mechs are, like, insanely neon bright pink.
And there's no excuse for that either, because the pink came in that expansion. There wasn't, like, a pink army that came in the old stuff, then the mechs didn't match. It's like, no, you came with an army that didn't match the mechs.
Yeah. And then the regular army is like significantly more down. What's the word? Less colorful, less vibrant.
It literally doesn't matter, but it triggers my OCD.
Yeah. But yeah, back to these. I have more plans to make more stuff for this. There's some stuff I'm gonna make myself. I want to do entirely on my own. I want to make a thing that holds the planets that's like editable, that I can change the amount, because I know there's going to add more stuff in this expansion probably. And then when they make 5th edition, which is the thing I want them to do next, I can like convert it to there. I also might do the things you put the planets on. don't know if you've seen those. Like, because one of the things you can do is you can do multi-drafts, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to get deep into it for the listeners. It doesn't really matter, but it's a method of setting up the game. One of the things you can do is you can print those out. You can print out a whole section of those like hexagons, and just have that for you ready, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And that makes like setting up the actual map way easier because you can just slide them together, and then the maps aren't gonna the individual pieces are not gonna separate. It's gonna be the entire pieces. Might do that, but I'm gonna do more, and I want to talk in more depth about the holes and why they're so interesting, but not on this podcast, because this podcast is about board games and video games and stuff.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a board game of the week. We were doing that for a little while.
Yeah, I just have to you could also just bring them in.
Oh yeah, I got my own board games. I don't keep them in my car all the time anymore.
I keep them in my car, but my car doesn't have my car covers the where they're kept so they don't get sun damaged.
I do have a board game in my car right now I could go grab, but we're in the middle of recording.
What's the board game?
Arcs.
Oh, you do have Arcs.
Yeah, I've been holding on to Arcs this whole time. I've been really wanting to replay Arcs, but the biggest problem with Arcs has been player count. We keep on having 5 people, and it's 4 players max, and from what I hear, it's best at 3 anyway.
Yeah, we could probably just set up a thing separately to that.
We've said that a billion times. We just never have gotten around to it.
Well, it's because I'm the one who has to plan everything.
Yep.
So.
Well, it used to be I did that, and I just don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
But I don't want to plan ever again. I'm sick of planning.
I have to because people don't.
Yep. Actually, you're the reason I don't plan anymore, because I'm like, Giger will just plan it.
I hate you.
All right. Moving on.
Moving forward.
All right. I was up late last night just thinking.
Late one night.
No, just last night. Okay. Actually, a lot of nights. Most nights. I think a lot when I'm trying to sleep. Difficulty as a subject. Obviously, first inspired by Silksong.
Yep.
But just like... also, like, we talk a little bit about, like, what makes a video game before. And I want this to be, like, an open discussion about difficulty is just a really interesting subject.
Yeah.
In terms of game design.
I agree completely.
Do you have any, like,
do you want me to just,
big, broad thoughts about difficulty you want to start with?
Do you want me to just, like, give you my immediate thoughts so that you get my
definitely,
point?
Definitely.
Okay. For me, personally, I'm always down for difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I prefer more difficult games. This is the thing I learned probably with Dark Souls when I first played it, just learning how to get first. Because I remember the first time, we described this when we talked about Dark Souls during a Silksong episode, going through the Undead Burg the first time.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that again.
I remember when I was first doing it and getting to the Undead Burg, fighting like 3 undead. I remember that being a challenge for me. Yeah. I remember not being able to, this being an insurmountable challenge. And then I played it, like, if I play it today,
it's a joke.
I literally just skip all that.
It's like,
just walk past.
So, and that's where I kind of want to start, right?
Well, I would like you to start there, but I need to keep talking about stuff for me.
Okay.
So, all that being said, my personal view is I like difficult games. I want there to be difficulty. We've also talked about my issue with, like, when things get too difficult, or more accurately, when things stop being fun because they're now just testing my patience too much. Like in Elden Ring, I feel that happens a lot. It's a couple times in Silksong too, to be honest, where the boss just takes too long because I'm just not playing the game while I wait for the boss to be done.
When does the difficulty transition from being exhilarating into tedious?
Yeah. For me, it was, I think, millennia of Elden Ring, and I just stopped playing.
Threading the line of difficulty is, like, been one of the greatest problems of game development since the history of video games, and it has never been solved perfectly. It is always just, like, the ongoing, it's the fun. That's part of the design. The fun of being a designer is, like, figuring out how to solve that problem in new and unique ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like, so the Silksong obviously did prompt the discussion. I don't want to talk about Silksong really at all as part of this, but I do want to, like, use it as a starting off point. Because the thought I had was, okay, I like difficult games. Like, I feel like I've got enough of a reputation amongst my friend group, at least, to know that I do like really hard games. I obviously love Dark Souls. I obviously love Metroid.
Yep.
I'm the only person I know who enjoys Ghosts and Goblins.
I've never played it.
And like going into just UFO 50, think about how many of those different games in UFO 50 are just ball-shatteringly hard.
Yeah.
Beating the ninja one,
Ninpek.
Ninpek at the beginning. Like we played a little bit of that co-op,
I'm so bad at that.
but you got the idea of like just how difficult that game is.
Oh yeah, I know.
And so when we go back to Silksong, and I'm finding this experience to be kind of tedious and like where I'm not really enjoying exploring and I'm not really enjoying the runbacks and all that other stuff. The question isn't whether it's too difficult, it's what kind of difficulty is this and why I'm not enjoying that type of difficulty.
Yeah.
And like the biggest trap I think a lot of people start with when they think about it is just like what actually is being challenged when you play a video game. This video I watched way back in the day complaining about Sword Art Online did a really fucking great job of just pointing out, like, you've watched Sword Art Online, right?
No.
You know about it?
I know of it.
It's the one where they go into a virtual reality video game or whatever.
It's pretty much the first game-based isekai.
So the main character, who is the, awesome at the game or whatever,
Yeah.
supposedly he's so awesome because he has just incredible reflexes.
Yeah.
And the person who, in the video, was the first person I know who pointed out, it's like, you don't actually need good reflexes to be good at video games.
No.
Video games are not actually about reflexes. It might look like that to someone who doesn't play video games, but like a very, very fast reflex intensive, like a game that would have that, is actually more about like, anticipation.
Yeah.
It's more of a mental thing than
I
a
can
physical
give you
thing.
an easy example.
There we go. That's what I wanted to do.
Rainbow Six Siege.
Explain.
So Rainbow Six Siege is it's not Rainbow Six because Rainbow Six is a cool thing. Rainbow Six Siege is a game where one team is inside of a building, the other team is outside of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Team outside needs to break into the team inside to do some sort of task. Usually bomb. He's defusing a bomb. It's just the opposite of whatever CS:GO was because CS:GO kind of did this already.
Yep.
The thing about that game is that every headshot, pretty much no matter what, will kill instantly.
Yeah.
So that's the meta. Is you have to shoot heads. You have to aim for the head. And if you watch it, you see people like going, and then you see like an immediate and they shot headshot, right? That's what you see. They're not actually like necessarily that reflexive. They're not like reacting that well because of like the reaction time. They're hearing something to the left.
Yeah.
They're hearing it. They know it's coming. They're waiting for them to show up. And as soon as they know that moment's coming, that's when they start moving.
This is a really good example, by the way. This is going to play very well in what I was thinking about.
Yeah, and it's not a scenario where like you can just like you can't be good at the game without necessarily having the ability to hear. That's kind of important. But you don't need the reflexes. You can start that process of moving at any point. It's you figuring out where you need to go to move, what time you need to do that for them to show up behind that door.
So, reflexes, like, I'm not saying that there isn't a dexterity component in
No.
many video games, especially action games. Obviously, there is a dexterity component, but, like, even then, you can break that down into different types of dexterity that one player might be good at, another player might be bad at.
Yeah.
For instance, like, I like platformers, so I do like dexterity challenges. But, like, there's a big difference in timing jumps rhythmically versus a balancing challenge.
Yeah.
Where you have to, like, hold your, like, analog stick perfectly steady. I fucking hate Super Monkey Ball,
Yeah.
for instance. Super Monkey Ball is like a platformer and you will never hear me really talk about because I suck at it. Like, I don't find it very fun. I'm very, very bad at that kind of challenge. It is very, very, like, it's a different kind of dexterity challenge than the kinds I enjoy.
It's literally, it feels like you're balancing on a ball. That is the game. And that is kind of what's happening, but you're inside the ball. But in the actual playing, that is what it feels like to actually do stuff.
Yeah.
You're balancing on this ball, and then somebody puts that ball on a tiny little ledge. And you're like, okay, so this isn't going to work.
Then there's, in the same way there's different types of dexterity that's being challenged, there's also different types of problem solving, different kinds of puzzles. Like, you almost never see, like, a flat-out logic puzzle in video games. Like,
No.
logic puzzle being the same way, like, a Sudoku thing is, where you have if-then rules that you have to follow in order to, complete it. Usually, like, a puzzle in, say, like, a voxel or Sokuban, a block-pushing thing, like you've seen in a million Zelda games, that is not a logic problem.
No.
That is an exercise in, like, spatial reasoning and, like, experimentation and, like, trying stuff out. Like, anyone who's given a block-pushing puzzle will solve it eventually.
Pretty
if
much,
they just don't get bored ahead of time.
Which is difficult.
Which is difficult because block pushing puzzles are boring as hell. But
even when you know how to do them.
That's why like usually they're kept easy enough that like you can get past it without getting bored.
Yeah, the purpose usually is just to be like a little bit of a stopgap so that you can like calm down and then you get rampant back up.
A block pushing puzzle is wildly different from like the kind of puzzle solving you're probably doing in Tetris.
Yeah.
Where Tetris is secretly a dexterity game, but it's a dexterity game where you are anticipating problems and you're building towards like, you know, what if I don't get a line block for a really long time? How do I build this structure in a way that I'll be able to save myself if it starts getting too high?
Yeah.
But the reason you're building it that high is because you're score chasing and whatever. Then it becomes like a self-imposed difficulty thing. There's lots of different types of difficulty. So, you know, let's circle it back to the age-old question. Does Dark Souls need an easy mode?
Okay. So, you and I disagree on this, I'm quite sure.
You think Dark Souls needs an easy mode, or would not be undermined or ruined or anything?
Okay, so I thought about this a lot when you posed this to me before we started.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on this are pretty more complicated than I wanted to be. I don't necessarily think it needs to be an easy mode. I would not have an issue personally if they added multiple difficulty levels. But really importantly, I don't think they can do that like as a game very well.
How do you do the difficulty mode?
That's the thing that I was considering on my way here is the way Dark Souls would do it, because the way that you can do it, you can add your own easy mode to Dark Souls if you mod it.
Yeah, you can just increase your health.
You can increase your health. You can reduce every enemy. You can do your damage. It's a whole world scaling thing.
That's not going to make Blighttown any easier, though.
That's not going to make it more fun. That's not going to do anything. What you need if you made an easy mode for Dark Souls is to basically redesign the entire game from the ground up, with every enemy tweaked and with removed certain moves or this, that, and everything else in order to make the easy mode, or at least a normal mode, more viable. And I don't think that's reasonable or fair.
Not for Dark Souls, but it is something that other games have done.
Yeah.
Like if you take a game like Devil May Cry, different difficulty modes literally change everything about the game.
I think in certain difficulty modes on Devil May Cry, like you can't even get to triple S, but that's like intentional because there's just stuff you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what happens in certain points.
The fact that I'm trying to think of, there's a specific example in Devil May Cry 1 where you normally fight like panthers in this one level and they replace it with a Reaper enemy.
Yeah.
Like they completely change what's happening in order to actually increase the difficulty, because otherwise...
And that's the way that Dark Souls would have to do it.
But then you're just designing a second game.
Yeah.
And Dark Souls is already massive, and they didn't technically finish it.
I would also make one specific point about Dark Souls in particular, or my thoughts on all of these. At the end of the day, from my perspective, dev is the rule of law here. If the developer wants you to have a crushing experience, then that's just what you have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm very much in the camp of you don't have to like it. You don't even have to appreciate it.
Yeah. But like if that's what the dev would prefer, they want you to like have a crushing difficult time.
But Dark Souls fans want
what
everybody to love and appreciate Dark Souls, but they just want Dark Souls fans they want them to appreciate them the same way they do. And
Exactly. We've done that.
Anyway, so the best thing that Dark Souls does well is the boss fights.
Uh-huh.
And when I say Dark Souls, I mean actually just FromSoft. FromSoft has mastered dark fights to the point where now they're kind of over-tuning them a bit, I'd say.
Yep.
Like getting that problems that you described. But like, so a good boss typically will have like a range of attacks that you will have to learn the tells of and how to avoid those attacks. Like you see the attack coming, and you've got to figure out how to avoid it, and you got to execute the avoiding.
Yep.
Also, you've got to, figure out how to deal as much damage as fast as possible, because the longer the fight goes, the harder it is to avoid every single attack. And also, there's a randomness element, because it's not like they are going to do the same sequence of attacks over and over and over again.
And sometimes they will do new stuff that you didn't know they could do, because they'll combine two moves.
Exactly. Or, like, it turns out there's a variation of the one attack, where he pulls his swing for a little bit and does a feint, and then strikes you, so it fucks up your timing.
Fucking bell punter motherfucker.
And a lot of the best fights, like, I think of, like, Quelaag from Dark Souls 1, is one that's often cited as being a really good boss fight. One of the tricks of that is learning that, like, 3 out of the 5 attacks can all be avoided the same way, of just being really close to her. then you only need to learn 2 different attack patterns, and how to deal with those things. It's like, oh, when she hugs the spider, she's going to do a big explosion. That's when you get the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
Stuff like that. There is a massive knowledge component, is the point that I'm getting at. You are not just running into a boss fight, automatically reacting to everything you see, and beating it that way. Because that isn't actually fun. The learning part is part of the fun. You want to be able to figure out those tells. If the tells are so obvious that you get it all on your first try, that's not a good boss.
I would make one point that the feeling of beating a boss the first try, every once in a while, because I think most Dark Souls games kind of have this built in.
Oh, yeah.
That is like the best feeling ever.
Yeah, but the trick here is, and this is the thread of needle, that basically no game actually tries to do perfectly, but you do want to beat those bosses on the first try. But ideally, the way that fight is going to play out is you are hanging back, you are observing, you are staying alive, and you are learning as you are fighting. Not through repetition of dying and redoing it over and over again, but just through the observation of staying alive during one fight, and then dealing enough damage to finish it off in the first try. But Dark Souls kind of, removed the stigma of dying and retrying over and over again, and that's built into its design. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. Because for a long time, there is a negative sentiment over the idea of level memorization as a form of difficulty.
Oh.
Like...
I don't. I just do that.
Yeah. Well, I just do that. And the thing is that I enjoy it.
I can actually bring this back again to Rainbow Six Siege, weirdly.
Yeah.
So the thing about Rainbow Six Siege is that the knowing which each individual gun is being used, that doesn't fucking matter. You can operate under an assumption that every gun is going to be able to kill you in one hit no matter what. So why bother learning which each individual one is? You also don't necessarily need to know which each hero is. You kind of need to know what they do or what operator or what they are. You kind of need to know what they do because there's one that can make a fake clone that can walk and then you shoot it and it doesn't do anything and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that you need to know every game, no matter what, is how the fucking map works.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know the map, you can't win. Because you'll be walking down a hall and you'll be like, I know that there could be that they're in like that side of the building over there. I'm going to keep going. And then you get shot through a wall on this side because you didn't realize that it's often common to camp in this room waiting for people to come in this way.
And I want to point out, because I've played enough shooters, like online shooters. I don't play Rainbow Six Siege, but like map design, that's true for every single one. Like, the biggest advantage you're going to have playing any shooter is just understanding each map that you're on.
That's true. I'm just saying Rainbow Six Siege and like CSGO in particular, it's more important than like Call of Duty.
And one of my favorite parts of that is that's not something you can just teach with a guide. Like you can look at a map, but until you play and experience and you walk around and you see it from a first-person perspective, like usually that'll come just from repetition of just playing those maps over and over again. But have you ever just like booted up an empty server and just explored a map on its own in any game?
That's actually that used to be one of my favorite things to do in Rainbow Six Siege. Whenever I was like really bored, I'd just be like, okay, I'm gonna boot up the mode of this where you shoot just NPCs, and I'm just gonna wander around the map and shooting NPCs and have a good time.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I did think I was going to have to spend more time trying to convince you that level memorization is its own category of difficulty.
No, I think that's a factor that's really important because like, I think of like even Zelda. Learning the ways the dungeons operate in there can be helpful.
Well, Dark Souls, when it came out in 2011, and we live in a post-Dark Souls world now, and I kind of got to reteach people what the psychology behind games, game design, game difficulty was before Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is influential enough that it changed everything.
Yep.
When I showed you those Ghosts and Goblin clips, I had him watch Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, Donkey's video, and then just the same level being played by someone who had mastered the game to the point where they could do it without getting hit.
Yeah.
And did you have any thoughts watching those?
I thought the Donkey video was kind of funny.
I thought it was hilarious. Oh, do you see what I mean, though, when I say the game is playfully mean to you?
Yes, I do understand. I actually think that's one of the things that Donkey does really well at describing and a lot of these kinds of games. Because he's played more than just Ghosts and Goblins in terms of like over-punishingly difficult games. And every time it's like you're experiencing in the moment, and he's really displaying, hey, this just fucked you over for no good reason. Like a lot of the Mario Maker maps like that. I think that he's really good at that. When I was watching the guy who's really good at the gameplay, I didn't really think. I just thought like, this is pretty cool, but like I'm watching a guy who's clearly mastered it versus a guy who just hasn't.
Well, the thing I wanted you to try to notice is that the guy who mastered it, he knew what was coming before it happened.
Yeah.
Because he knew the level.
Well, that's kind of what I meant, to be honest. Is like watching him like look up because he knows there's gonna be a thing right here and start shooting pre-firing. I was like, well, yeah.
But at the same time, the way that game does difficulty is that, like, there is a massive level memorization component of Ghosts and Goblins. You
Yeah.
have to be able to, you have to memorize these levels in order to actually have a chance of beating any of them. But it goes further by having a massive random component in the way that the enemies spawn on top of you. You have to be able to be quick and react, and you have to exercise those reflexes. There is a knowledge side and there is a reflex side. And in terms of Ghosts and Goblins, you need both in order to succeed.
Yeah, I gathered that.
Dark Souls doesn't work like that.
No.
Dark Souls, you can substitute skill with knowledge or knowledge with skill. They are interchangeable. You do not need both in order to win the game.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was Mario, as just another case example. So, Nintendo is the best company at designing difficulty. They have been since 1983. They have shown that consistently throughout the years. They are really good at making a good learning curve. And one of the things that they do that most other companies don't is they always start off with the assumption that the person playing this game might have never played a video game at all before.
Yeah, it's very clear.
It's not just that, it needs to be easy to, like, get into. They're like, okay, they might be struggling with the controls. They might be completely illiterate towards, like, concepts in games that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Level 1-1 of any Mario game is designed to be beaten by literally anyone. And if you have already played a video game before, it's just, a 2-second time waster before you actually start playing the game.
Right.
Dark Souls is built the same exact way. Dark Souls is designed to be beaten by someone who has never played a video game before. And again, I need to, like, stress how much we kind of take for granted now. But when Dark Souls came out, the way that game felt, the way it did things, was so fucking different from what other games were doing at the time that it was jarring.
Yeah, well, you can make the easy example with Batman. So Batman Arkham Asylum, I think that came out... I don't remember when that came out. I have no idea.
It came out around that. Dark Souls came out when I was, like, graduating high school. Batman Arkham Asylum came out a little bit after that.
Okay.
Or no, I'm thinking Arkham City.
No, Arkham City, yeah, because Arkham Asylum, I think... I want to say
it came out
2009.
around the same time, yeah.
But Arkham Asylum was... It's a really good example of what was kind of going on in that era before Dark Souls with, like, Assassin's Creed and Uncharted, for example.
Yeah.
Where the entirety of the fights are all spectacle-based reaction fights, where you're hitting a button, you're going bop, 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 button hit, you see a button pop up, you had the prompt, bop, 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 bop. That's like every game, pretty much. That's what Assassin's Creed popularized. I would argue Batman, Arkham Asylum, and City kind of mastered it, because they made it with Batman, and you get to feel like Batman, and that's dope.
The trick to Dark Souls, before that, the way difficulty was being handled was to create the illusion of difficulty. To make everything feel exciting by making it seem like you could, like, that everything was tense and like you could fail at any time, but that it would be just easy enough that you would succeed on that first try, to try to thread that needle every single time, you know?
Yeah, because the thing about the way that Batman and Assassin's Creed do their combat, if you got rid of the screen and you only had, like, button prompts, now the game stops being difficult on any level.
Yeah, it is literally DDR.
Yeah,
like,
you just
they compared it to rhythm. I actually love the design of Arkham Asylum, but it is a very, very interesting way to go about that problem. You know, it's like we have a rhythm-based combat system that is more like Dance Dance Revolution than a lot of traditional action games.
Yeah, and they also had, like, the challenge rooms where you'd go in and you'd have to get a certain amount of points, so you have to maintain your score.
Where Dark Souls actually had a very old-fashioned way of doing it. It was like, no, you get 3 hits and then you're dead.
Yep.
Fuck off. If you can't fucking figure it out, too bad. Figure it out. Get good. Or at least that's what it felt like at the time. So, like, one of the things that really vexed me when I first played Dark Souls is that the attacks are on the shoulder buttons.
Oh, okay.
And, like, I don't know if you remember this, but, like, that that was never a thing. Like shooters had your triggers,
Yeah.
but in action games, in melee combat, your attack button's X.
Well, I know that because of the game I'm talking about, Batman Arkham City and Assassin's Creed. They were all your attacks were here.
Every game for years.
Yeah.
Like as long as there was a PlayStation controller, the attack button's the X button. Or sorry, for a PlayStation it would be square.
Yeah.
But that you get the idea. Square and triangle for weak attack, heavy attack. Fucking Dark Souls is like, no, we're gonna map it to the shoulder buttons like you're playing a shooter or something, and then we're gonna put your main healing item on X so that you accidentally use it all the time by accident when you try to attack.
Yep.
What the fuck, Dark Souls? then just the speed of the game is so fucking jarring because it is so fucking slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in panic mode because you know this game is hard because you got hit once by this enemy and it took out an entire third of your health bar with a single attack. And now, like, you're anticipating when he's going to attack, and he's just hanging in the air for, like, 3 seconds. You're like, am I safe to attack? Am I safe to attack? Am I safe to attack? So you finally attack, and that's when he brings it down on you. And it's like, what the hell? The rhythm of the combat is so disorienting, and it's so slow that even, like, FromSoft fans today, when they go back to Dark Souls 1, they're like, what the fuck? This game is glacial.
Yep.
It is one of the slowest games I've ever played.
And then, like, the another fun thing for that would be Dark Souls 3, where one of the final fights with the two princes, or it might be the final fight, I can't remember. One of them, so a lot of Dark Souls fights, as you'll obviously know, and you might even talk about more, have music with them.
Yeah.
They have boss fight music. And the boss fight music doesn't necessarily line up with everything, but it gets you into a flow. The boss fight music for this specific fight in Dark Souls 3, they intentionally outstep it so that you fuck up because the music is fucking you up.
The funny they did that twice because that's the whole point with the Dancer of the Boreal Valley is that her movements are fucking weird and the music's fucking weird. So if you like get into a flow of playing Dark Souls games, that particular boss will just be like, no, fuck you.
Yep.
You got to learn to dance my way.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so fun.
So Dark Souls has what I like to call the get good illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Dark Souls does is it is unrelentingly difficult in every single way it is possible to be difficult.
Yep.
It's like, it's not just that there's sometimes timing challenges, but there's also balancing challenges. There's also logic problems. There's also, like, knowledge checks.
Yep.
There's all kinds of ways that the game can be difficult. And it does this interesting thing where it starts everybody off on the same page to a certain extent. And this is something that it can't do anymore.
No.
Because we live in a post-Souls world. But for a while, anyone playing Dark Souls was exactly as illiterate in Dark Souls as the next player.
Yeah.
Everyone is starting from that zero place of, I am literally struggling with the controls. And that is how the Undead Burg is designed to be played. By someone who literally hasn't even figured out the controls yet.
Yeah, because, like, it's just so easy now.
It is so easy. It's like, was this ever challenging? But the reason why it was ever challenging is because you literally couldn't even play the game yet. You were learning just the rhythms of combat and the motions. So the reason I brought up Mario was like, have you ever watched someone who is not experienced with Mario play Mario and get really frustrated by the fact that they just walk?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a slightly different example. Two of my little sisters, when I first showed them Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, at this stage, I've played Fallout 3, I've played Fallout New Vegas, I've played a lot of shooters. This is not a difficult concept for me. I give them the controller. The idea of moving the first-person control and also your movement was so foreign to them.
Yeah.
They were having trouble just even getting in a straight line. It was insane to watch.
Dual analog is something that so many people take for granted. I'm like, there is a reason why it took so long for it to become standardized. Because it just turned out to be the best solution to an impossible problem. And the solution was just get everybody used to this one way of doing it, and that's it. It's not like that way is the best way.
No. And it was not in any capacity like intuitive for them, and I didn't know how to explain like how to do this, and that really opened my eyes a lot for like trying to get new people into video games who've never experienced them really.
When it comes to Mario, I like that example because it can look like someone is playing Mario just fine when the reality is that they don't understand the controls yet.
Yeah.
The way Mario's run button works is you are meant to hold down the run button and release it when you need to slow down. You are not meant to walk and then hold the run button when you need to. The game is much harder when you play that way, and it's also less fun. The way jumps work in Mario is you jump farther and higher when you are running. The way timing works is every single obstacle, every single enemy is going to be in a better position if you get to them quicker. You know? Like, if you get there fast, then he's on this end of the platform, like all the way off to the right, and you've got plenty of space to jump off of it. If you take too long to get there, he's going to be in the middle of the platform, and now you have to jump on top of him or dodge him somehow.
Yeah.
That's how Mario works. So, the difference between, like, when someone isn't running, that means they don't know the controls. That's the same way with Dark Souls. Like, the first step of the get good illusion is actually just learning the controls of Dark Souls and understanding that as part of the game.
Yeah, learning how to not jump, but then do jump.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's jumping, but there isn't jumping.
Getting through Undead Burg and fighting the Taurus Demon, the only thing that you need to be able to do that is just be able to control the game.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, the process of learning how to control the game was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's that kind of, like, old video game thing that I wish more games tried to recapture, was just like the process of learning a new thing for the first time.
Yeah, but instead they just make Dark Souls again.
But then Dark Souls, it's smarter than that, right? Because they know that since you cannot control the game yet, you're just going to get killed by random mobs over and over and over again.
Yep.
And then they fucking double down and they make that extra punishing by having you lose all of your souls and by not being able to level up. And, like, there's all those psychological elements of the game being known for being hard and having all these punishing elements, and you redoing it over and over and over again, where you are simultaneously mastering your mechanical, the skill side of things, which in this case just means mastering the controls at all.
Moving.
Moving and attacking, because that's all you need to be able to do to get past the Undead Burg, is know how to move and attack properly. It's not hard.
Yeah.
But you have to learn how to do that. Meanwhile, you are learning the level layout. You are learning about the mechanics of the game. You may have, swapped classes to try to make the game easier, so you're trying out different weapons, different styles and stuff to see what works for you.
You also probably have found some of the, like, not secrets, but stuff that's, like, hidden away, like the little dude who's the little shop off in the middle of nowhere. You might have accidentally found the way that you can go down a certain area if you fall off a certain thing, and you can end up in a different place. You can find all that stuff.
And at this point, you are probably going, even though, like, all you need to do is master the controls in order to beat the Taurus Demon, when we get to the next part, which is the Undead Parish, the difficulty does spike. Now all the enemies are much harder.
Yep.
In Undead Burg, all the enemies are one-hit kills.
Pretty much.
They're all basic undead, unless you are using a dagger, then you can kill them in one hit, or maybe 2 hits. And that's important because when you get to the next area, that's no longer true.
Yep.
So now you either have to do one of 2 things. You need to further mechanical mastery, and actually get good at fighting them, which is what a lot of people have done, or you could do what I did and just learn more about the game.
Yeah.
So in this case, for me, it was understanding the map around Undead Parish. Undead Parish has a lot of different paths, and there are some paths that are way more dangerous than others, and you can use that to get to that bonfire, because once you get to Andre, you're home safe, you know? Otherwise, you might go back to the Undead Merchant and try out different weapons. You might, go back to the Firelink Shrine and, like, get spells or something like that. The point is that, like, the 2 ways of getting past this part is either skill or knowledge.
Yep.
But they're interchangeable. Either of them will get to work. And then the next big difficulty spike is the gargoyles, where it's like, okay, now they really expect you to either dedicate yourself to 1 or 2 or a hybrid of those playstyles. You need to learn about how crafting and the smithing system in Dark Souls works, because it's really weird and esoteric, and almost everybody needs a guide to figure it out at first. You know?
Pretty much.
Or you need to experiment. You need to go into zones that you haven't tried out yet, like go into the Darkroot Garden and find, like, secret stuff there. Like, you can fight the Moonlight Butterflies before the gargoyles. Nobody does for some reason, but you can, and it's way easier.
Oh yeah. Well, Moonlight Butterfly is one of the easiest bosses.
Yeah, exactly, and it's balanced around the idea that you could just want to do it early if you want, and then you get the Holy Ember, which you can then use in the catacombs to kill the skeletons, and there's a shit ton of loot in the catacombs, and you're seeing how, like, all these options are opening up, and this is all game knowledge, because Dark Souls is as much of an action game, it is a JRPG, and the difficulty of JRPGs is just game knowledge. You know, like, you can substitute game knowledge with like grinding, but even then, like there's a way to understand grinding as just a process of gaining knowledge about the game. The fun and difficulty of JRPG is not knowing about a thing, learning about the thing, and then conquering it through knowledge. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
I guess.
Well,
I don't play.
You don't play JRPGs,
No.
and when you play Dark Souls, you probably don't play it as much the way I do, which is focused a lot on knowledge experimentation and like
No.
trying all these things out.
Well, okay, I wouldn't say that necessarily. My play style in Dark Souls is flex. I will change up every single aspect of my character from beginning to end to meet any other challenge if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm just like, I find a weapon, I'm like, I want to use this instead. So I go and spec all my stuff I can into that instead. That's generally how I play like every Dark Souls game. But for me, like I just like conquer the path that I know, and then I go for other paths and start conquering those. I don't start here and then start branching now. I do through line and then go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To maybe better express the idea I'm trying to say, Dark Souls, like everything about it is weird and esoteric, and you don't know everybody going in starts at zero.
Mm.
You have to learn how the controls and the weird eccentricities of that. You have to learn the map, you have to learn the game world, you have to learn the mechanics. But because the difficulty starts so high and because everyone starts so low, the way it works is you kind of self-identify. You figure out your method of getting through the game. One player might be focused entirely on just getting good and learning those boss patterns and stuff like that, where another character would be like, or another player, I keep saying character because I think about how I've played multiple Dark Souls characters in different ways.
Yeah.
But another person might be like, no, this is a knowledge check. I can overcome anything by just understanding the system that's available to me. You don't actually have to get good at dodging. You never have to master parry timing.
No.
Ever.
Another example of this is when I first played Dark Souls, I did not upgrade a single weapon until I got to the Ornstein Smog fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know.
So the Undead Parish has the fucking most brilliant piece of game design ever, and that's the Drake Sword.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two ways of getting into the Undead Parish. There is a secret method where you run past a Drake, and it's actually very easy, but it looks super scary.
Yep.
But that opens up a bonfire that lets you get straight into Undead Parish faster. Otherwise, you have to go under a bridge, and you have to go through this area with these fucking rats, and it's awful.
Yeah.
It is hideous. But from that position, the more likely, the more difficult position to be in, that's the better position to grab a short bow, shoot at the tail, and get that Drake Sword. And when you have the Drake Sword, all those difficult enemies that I described as like something you actually have to learn how to fight, an involved fight with the Boulder Knights and the Baraniki Knight and everything like that, they suddenly become one-hit kills like in the Undead Burg.
Yeah.
And it just turns into level memorization, not skill mastery. I used the Drake Sword my first time I played through Dark Souls, and I will swear by it every single day. A lot of, hardcore fans are really hesitant, like, don't use the Drake Sword, it'll give you bad habits. I'm like, no. Bad habits, like, there's no such thing as habits. It's game knowledge. Like, you will eventually understand that Drake Sword falls off. You can't upgrade its damage, and it has a damage cap. So you have to invest in other weapons, and you have to learn that system.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, knowing about the Drake Sword is the secret to getting through the next area.
Yeah.
And it's a game knowledge thing, and it's a level memorization thing, and it's no longer an action thing,
One thing I can say I don't like about the original Dark Souls, especially, like more so than Dark Souls 2 and 3, is there's certain stuff, I would even say like the Drake Sword, where like it's not intuitive, or there's not like really a specific way that you would figure that out naturally.
No, but a certain type of player is going to be very, very experimental. They're going to be very observant. They're going to be trying out different kinds of things. They usually play JRPGs as their main game type, They're the kinds of people, because the way to enjoy a game or a JRPG, you know how me and Alex were like, you need to draw your own map when you play Metroid?
Yeah.
Well, when you play a JRPG, you want to be writing a guide as you go.
Okay.
Like, making the guide is the fun part of the game, so to speak. Otherwise, you might as well just be following a guide to get through it and learn the story.
Another one I would say would be the ring that you need that's back in the asylum prison.
Yeah, well, you don't need that.
No, you don't need it, but like it makes the one fight with the Hydra way easier. Which I think is also optional.
Beautiful. It's just what I love about Dark Souls. That's what I love about Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to get to Blight Town, and you're going to actually have to learn how to balance, because there's going to be fucking balancing challenges. And eventually you're going to have to deal with real fucking timing problems in, like, other places. But for the most part, like, any single individual type of difficulty that's, like, challenging, it's going to be challenging, like, once or twice through the whole game.
For the most part, yeah.
Otherwise, it is, like, you can supplement this with game knowledge. You can use level memorization instead of, you know, practice and getting good.
All right, Ben. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you feel about Faudian games?
I don't know what that is.
You know what Faudian games are? Okay, you do know what they are. You just don't know them as this term.
No.
You know of Bennett Foddy's...
I fucking love Bennett Foddy.
There we go.
I love his games. I was actually just thinking about how technically QWOP is what a walking simulator should be.
Yeah, okay.
Because the thing is that a game like QWOP is mastering of the controls. Like, that's the entire game. It is a platformer with weird fucking controls, and figuring out how to control it is the whole game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Bennett Foddy is a fucking genius.
Faudian games, for listeners who do not know, are usually unbelievably simple concepts. Like, really simple game. You have, like, literally one method of moving, usually.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really difficult intentionally because of the way you do it is so specific and unique and weird.
So QWOP was his big famous one. You play as a sprinter, like you just
I would disagree with you.
Was as his first big one?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I don't actually know his whole history, but QWOP was the one that I saw in high school.
I think most people know what QWOP. I don't even know if it's needed to explain what QWOP is.
Well,
but
just in case, because that's the easiest example I can think of.
For you,
especially
sure.
because a lot of people already know it. You play as a runner, and you have 4 buttons. One for each calf, one for each thigh.
Yep.
And you have to make him run by individually pressing your calf and thigh buttons to make him move forward.
And every single time you do it, you're going to immediately fall back.
Because it turns out that the process of movement is actually really complicated, which is why it's so hard to get robots to do it.
No, his biggest game, like the thing that made him a name and what created the Faudian genre,
I mean, getting over it.
was Getting Over It. That's what everybody knows. I didn't even know he made QWOP.
You didn't know he made QWOP?
No.
Oh my god.
Now, that makes sense, but
it
yeah.
makes sense, doesn't it?
But Getting Over It was definitely the big one. And then there was, I think recently, I don't think he made it, but recently there's been like...
Baby Steps
Baby
is the one that I
Steps.
really want to play. It looks really funny.
Yeah, and that one, that's a good one. There's the skate one where you're that dude who has like the weird arm skates and you're going through your job. You're going through a career by going through a Faudian experience.
I consider, okay, so when I make a list of, like, these are the case study examples, because I consider all video games art.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if you make a video game, it's art. It doesn't have to be good art. It could just be bad art, but it's still art.
Of course.
But if I'm trying to convince someone that it's art, like my list of examples, Getting Over It's, like, right up there at the top of that list.
Especially because one of the most fun parts
is him just talking about his own views on, like, art and game design in the most boring, frustrating way as you are
falling down.
You're falling in his awful game that he designed to frustrate you, and he talks about how he designed the game to frustrate you because he thought it would be funny.
And you're like, damn, curb stomping shouldn't be illegal. They're so good. But, like, I mean, they're good and they're also terrible. Because I think that one of the other things about Faudian games is that there's only 2 kinds of people who are going to be interested in a Faudian game. Really, gamers who really like difficulty and want hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people who want to experience this no matter what, despite everything, who just aren't really gamers.
Well, the reason I like those, because I've never beaten a single Bennett Foddy game, obviously. Like,
No.
you play QWOP long enough to be like, this is ass, I hate this.
Yep.
Like, watching that guy fall over in a bunch of different ways gets old really fast. And then you find a video of someone just making him sprint like a god, and it's like, how the hell are they even doing that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Bennett Foddy's games just because they are exercises in thinking about game design, you know?
Oh, there's also the Sisyphus one.
Sisyphus?
Yeah, I don't think that was Bennett Foddy necessarily, but you have to get a rock up a giant hill.
That sounds very Bennett Foddy-ish.
Yeah.
That's Foddian in its design.
But yeah, I'm glad I got to tell you about the Faudian genre.
All right, so Dark Souls. Like I said, I don't think it needs an easy mode. I also think an easy mode would undermine what it's trying to do, you know?
So I I see that point. I actually think there's a lot of value to it because I think that, again, the devs' rule is law. They want a difficult experience, or at least a perceivably difficult experience. My thing is, I think that there are going to be people who this filters out. Dark Souls will filter people.
And that's a shame.
Yes.
Because the thing is that Dark Souls has proven to be a very, very transcendent experience to a large variety of people. Like, people who don't think that they're good at action games, who don't enjoy hard games, they end up actually getting through Dark Souls somehow, and then they're like, wow, I just adore this game. This game has changed my life. Like, there's a reason why the Dark Souls effect was so impactful on people, because it really did change the way a lot of people thought about difficulty and about games and about game design, you know?
The other thing I want to point is people with like severe disabilities. That's the other good thing about easy modes.
Yeah, so
The accessibility part.
things. And that's always where, because if any easy mode, like the reason why the two sides of the debate, the for an easy mode is the correct one. Like, it just, there is an objectively correct, yes, you should have an easy mode, and the accessibility argument trumps everything, and I'm not going to hear any arguments against that.
No.
Like, no, sorry. Game should be playable by everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that people are inherently good at a video game or bad at a video game. I think you can be inherently better at, say, a timing problem versus a balancing problem, but nobody is just magically more dexterous than other people in a way that is going to give them advantage in all video games across the board. The way that a lot of people think about it.
No, I will say that there are some people who are really good at specific genres, and I think that they might have something along with them.
But
like
I think that
shooters.
has way more to do with games literacy than anything else, because they understand shooters because they play shooters and they enjoy it.
Well,
the act of, okay, so if you were to break down shooting, aiming as its component parts of difficulty and like the different things that it is testing you on.
Depending, yeah.
And it depends a lot on the type of gun you're using. Like, if you're using a sniper rifle, it's probably more about timing than anything else, because you already have the shot lined up to where their head should be, and then you're just waiting for them to get into that spot. Versus, I don't know, I don't actually play as many shooters to be able to do this.
So, like, okay. You'd think of, like, assault rifles. Assault rifles are going to be, generally speaking, going to be shooting at a really consistent, easy pace that you can easily understand. You can kind of track. That's the idea. As you see them going, and you can kind of go a little bit ahead, and you can go, okay, I'm getting shots. SMGs, small machine guns or short rifle guns or whatever they're called, they're going to be, generally speaking, way faster.
Yeah.
So it's going to be actually less about tracking. It's going to be more about making sure you get points. Because they're going to be bzz, 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 bzz. That's how you want to do that.
I'm going to be honest. I've never liked tracking when I'm aiming in a video game. I hate trying to lead a moving opponent.
So the example I planned on giving for people who are really good at tracking would be like Shroud, the gamer. Shroud, when you watch like me play a video game, I'm okay at most shooters. I'm pretty decent because I played a lot of them, and I'm really good at my mouse and keyboard now. I can make some really impressive shots. When you watch Shroud play a shooter, which I don't know if you've ever done.
No, I don't watch a lot of streamers.
You feel really, really pathetic. Because he's doing shit that you didn't think was possible in such a small like window of control. And like okay, he can't be cheating because he's Shroud. But also, how is he doing that?
Well, I would say that while there's definitely a practice muscle memory component of it, there is a lot more game knowledge than is obviously visible.
Oh, you mean like the intrinsic knowledge of learning, not necessarily learning the game in particular, but learning the process of how FPSs work.
Exactly.
I
or even
agree
just
with you.
how that gun feels in that game, you know?
Yeah, learning, like shooting it for a few minutes and learning like how the pattern goes. Or comparing like something like Rainbow Six Siege to CSGO, where in Rainbow Six Siege, your gun is basically going to have the same pattern every time. Or even a random pattern, but it'll be like a tiny little area. This is where all the bullets are going to show up. Whereas in Rainbow Six Siege, they don't really have recoil as traditional because it's a much older game. CSGO. They have spray patterns instead of recoil. And learning where to move your mouse so that the spray will end up all in one area, like one chunk of this, as opposed to everywhere. That's a whole entirely different thing.
When you try to master Ghosts and Goblins, you have to understand is that sometimes you're going to be in a position that you can't win in. Okay, there is just bullets coming at you from every angle. There is no safe place to jump. There is no safe way to get out of it. You're going to get hit. You will probably die.
Mhm.
That's a reality in Ghosts and Goblins. But part of the learning process of that is learning how to never be in those positions,
Exactly.
to anticipate them ahead of time. You remember Velgress on UFO 50?
Yes.
So Velgress, I fucking adored. That was the a procedurally generated platformer where you just keep on jumping up and up and up and up, but the actual platforms and the hazards and the coins that you grab are all random.
Like Downwell, but the opposite.
It's completely random, and yet it's not. You know, the procedurally generated levels are in big chunks. You start to understand certain patterns. You're like, okay, I have to stop getting avoided. I have to avoid getting like boxed in by these literal boxes
Yep.
before not being able to jump out, or I have to make sure that when there is an enemy over on that side of the screen, not to get too close to it until I get to a certain height or something like that. You anticipate these situations through experience and playing it over and over and over again. There's still a massive knowledge component, despite the fact that it's a randomized game. It's not level memorization, but there's still a lot of memorization happening in order to be good at that game.
You're learning what to avoid. You're creating red spots in the way you play, where I know what'll happen if I go here. Let's go left.
Dark Souls, the big thing that people used to say is that it's hard but fair. And that was always a lie.
Yes, it was.
That was a lie by players who wanted to sell people on the idea that Dark Souls is not a game about dying over and over and over again and gradually memorizing it.
Yeah.
Because that is most people's experience with Dark Souls. No one fucking, beats the Taurus Demon for the first time after finally fucking mastering the controls enough to be able to do it, and then walk onto the Drake Bridge and not get fucking torched in the worst, nastiest fucking practical joke the devs could have put on them.
Yep.
Like, it's hilarious. It's like, you finally beat this fucking boss you've been struggling with this entire time.
And then you're like, what the fuck is that?
And then they just fucking kill you. And you lose all your souls. That you got a ton of souls from the boss. You probably recovered a ton of souls that you kept on building up and then losing to the boss and recovering over and over again. And then boom, dragon attack. Fuck you.
Yep.
That's not fair.
No.
It never was fair. But this point is not that it's supposed to be fair or not. If anything, that's just teaching you that the souls you might lose don't matter. Because, like, the way leveling works is that it's very, very, like, area gated. Like, you need to go on to the next area if you want to collect a good amount of souls. You can spend a lot of time farming one area, but it's just not going to help you beat the boss. You have to get good enough at the controls to beat the boss. You have to understand the boss well enough to beat the boss.
The other one was the Capra Demon, I think.
Oh my god. So the Capra Demon, I actually think, is one of the best bosses in the entire game, but, like, literally only one person on this planet agrees with me on that.
Not me.
So there is a Dark Souls obsessive fan named Illusionary Wall on YouTube who does these super, super in detail breakdowns of, like, how mechanics work in the game, and, like, he's doing a comparison series of Demon Souls where he's going, like, room by room of the original Demon Souls and the Blue Point remake to show you, like, all the graphical changes and stuff like that. This guy is a super fucking fan.
Sounds thrilling.
I love it, but yeah, it's very dry. It's not for everybody. But he has a video about the Capra Demon where he revealed that he's the only other person who thinks about the Capra Demon like me. And it's like, the Capra Demon is a puzzle fight. It's not actually a skill challenge. People don't like it.
That's true.
People don't like it because you can't just beat it by being good at the game.
No, the Capra Demon, if you haven't played Dark Souls, let me illustrate to you how the Capra Demon works. So you walk into a room. It's a very small room.
Very small.
It's much smaller than you would think a room would be.
Let's be clear. It is the smallest boss arena, and it is one of the smaller rooms in the game, period.
Yep. Immediately what happens is that 2 dogs run to kill you.
2 dogs, and then a giant demon wielding 2 gigantic machetes.
In my head, he looks like Pyramid Head. I don't know why. I can't remember what he looks like besides Pyramid Head. But there's a trick to this fight, viewer.
There's a bunch of tricks to the fight, actually.
There's one specific that I learned that I do.
What's your trick?
The stairs.
Yeah, the stairs help, but they don't get you there the entire way.
The stairs, well, I don't remember every detail of the fight, to be very clear.
What class did you play as the first time? Do you remember?
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
We know you did a flex thing, but do you
Probably Cleric,
Probably Cleric, interesting.
because I wanted fire.
Well, do you remember what armor you might have been using at the time?
Not even a little.
You don't remember if you did the thing where you kill Solaris so you can steal his armor, or
I definitely did not do that.
you weren't wearing the chainmail set that the undead merchant... Or actually, so at that point in the game, most people would actually be using the elite knight armor because you can steal it right from Darkroot Garden.
That's probably what I was doing if it was available.
So the actual trick to the Capra Demon is poise.
Okay.
The problem is that the dogs are small and yappy, and they hit you quickly, and that makes you stutter. And
Yep.
when you stutter, you can't roll. And when you can't roll, you can't get out of the way of the Capra Demon's attacks, and you can't give yourself the distance. That little staircase kind of increases the overall size of the room
Yep.
in terms of giving you the distance that you need. So obviously the staircase is important for everybody, but the trick is trying to get onto the staircase. And if you do not have enough poise, then you can't do anything about that.
Okay, so I think I might have done this differently than what you're expecting, because what I remember doing from my memory, and this is years ago now, is I would instantly, as soon as I walked in, I would beeline for the stairs. I'd run. I would tank any damage I needed to or dodge it.
If you tank the damage, it's because you had the poise.
I don't remember. But I would get into there, and then as soon as I was up the stairs, I would try to kill one dog as quickly as I possibly could, then jump out, then do it again. And I would just keep doing that until dogs were dead, and then I could fight the Capra Demon, and then that was easy.
So I've done this fight with every single class, and I've tested all the pieces of equipment that you can reasonably get before the fight, is the thing. Armor makes a massive difference. If you're wearing a set of armor, you're going to have a huge advantage. If you have the Wolf Ring, which you can get right away, right before the Capra Demon, gives you 40 poise, it's better than a suit of armor. You probably had that ring as well, come to think of it.
Probably.
If you do not have any sort of poise option, the only thing you can do is distract them with like an audio spell. Or something like that. Or maybe throw a alluring skull, which that one's annoying because you have to hit the floor. It doesn't work if you hit the wall, blah, blah, blah. The point is that there's a lot of like ways to like get them off you, but there isn't very much you can do skillfully.
No, it is very much a knowledge fight.
Mm-hmm.
I recall looking it up, if I'm not mistaken, on how to do it, because I just like was not able to figure it out.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I looked up for Dark Souls. I learned about the Drake Sword from... Actually, I learned about it from Mike when I first played. The funniest... When I very first played Dark Souls, he introduced the game to me. I played it at his house. I remember the first... Guess what the class I chose was for first? Just guess.
Can you tell me all the classes quick?
Warrior, Knight, Wanderer, Thief, Bandit, Ranger, Sorcerer, Cleric, and Pyromancer. And
the
Naked Man.
The Naked Man.
The ass.
I would say... Can I give you two guesses? Either
Okay.
the Knight or the Sorcerer.
Nope.
Okay.
I played as a Thief.
Plays the Thief.
Yep.
Okay,
and
that's odd.
I picked the Thief, and Mike winced. He goes, "You can like." He was telling me, he's like, "You can pick any character you want to play as, you know." But then I picked the Thief. He's like, "Maybe you shouldn't play as that one. Maybe not them."
That's so funny.
Because the way the different classes in Dark Souls work is that some of them have massive advantages over others just for starting out, and other ones have, you know, they're more knowledge. The Thief is the best class to start as. It actually is, because it's got a really weird stat distribution, and because it starts with a free master key. And that master key is the most important part. You can just get anywhere with that fucking master key.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't help you on your first playthrough.
Nope.
That is entirely, you have knowledge, you are playing the game with knowledge. That's why you play as a Thief. When I replayed it, I picked a Knight, because I like Knights.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do the Sorcerer, because the way Sorcerers look in Dark Souls look lame. They got those stupid little pill hats, and they just look like nerds, you know?
I just know you like magic.
I like wizards, dude. I want to have a big pointy hat. I want to have a big beard. I want to have a staff.
You'll enjoy
I think
Elden
they did
Ring.
that on purpose. I think they did Sorcerers the way they did on purpose to discourage people from playing Sorcerers.
I think you'll enjoy Elden Ring a lot more then.
Maybe. Dark Souls, I just love that map. And I love, you know, being able to go and see these are where the locks are. So this is everything that the devs reasonably thought that the players would have access to and would be able to figure out. Like, I love going into Darkroot Garden right after doing the gargoyles, because you can get moss, like bleeding moss for lower undead Berg, and poison moss for Blighttown, and then blooming poison moss for the special parts of Blighttown.
Yeah.
There's also the Wolf Ring for getting through the Capra Demon. There's also the Holy Ember for beating the Moonlight Butterfly, which you can then go into the catacombs if you want to do the catacombs early.
Isn't the shield down there, the crest shield?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is smart. This is like a treasure trove, and it's a really easy area right after the Undead Parish.
Darkroot Garden, yeah.
It's specifically designed to be easy, and it's designed with loot, because the idea is you loot this area before you go into the next hyper-difficult area before the Capra Demon.
Yep.
Because after that's the big slog of Lower Undeadburg, Depths, Blighttown, Lower Blighttown, fuck you.
Always gotta go to the catacombs. I one of the other things I tried when I first played Dark Souls, I just kept trying to go catacombs continuously, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a thing where I would lure the first 3 skeletons that spawn, and I would have them all jump off the ledge because I did not realize that you could just attack the skeletons when they're dead.
I love that. That's so cool.
And then that's how I got the Zeidweiler.
I avoided the catacombs like crazy. I didn't do it until I had to do it after I'd already beaten Ornstein and Smo. And by the time you do it then, it's way too easy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the boss is already the easiest boss in the game. It was designed to be an optional boss right at the beginning. But the area is difficult. The area is designed to run through really quickly in a panic if you know what you're doing.
The mask dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mask dude. Pinwheel. He's the easiest boss in the game.
Yeah, you literally just wallop up and body him.
He's the easiest boss in the game. He gives you an insane reward. The Rite of Kindling will kind of eliminate a lot of the challenge of all exploring because you just have 20 Estus Flasks at all time. Like, you know how easy the game is with 20 Estus Flasks? Bosses don't get easier, but exploring gets way easier. There is no more like, okay, I'm out of Estus Flasks, I need to go back. It's like, no, I got 15 left still.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so smartly designed. The catacombs is genius. Every time I redo the catacombs, I'm like, this is one of the most genius designed areas I've ever seen. Oh god, there was a certain thing I was going to talk about and then I forgot what it was.
I have another question for you.
Sure thing.
How do you feel about games that change the difficulty on you in the background?
Okay, so it depends. I am philosophically against it. I don't enjoy it myself. I do not design games that... I would not design games that way. I do not enjoy it when a game does that to me. But Resident Evil 4 is one of the best fucking video games ever made.
Isn't it? Isn't it just?
And the reason why is because it had a really fucking cool way of threading that needle. It doesn't work as well if you know about the trick of it changing the difficulty behind the scenes based on how well you're doing or how badly you're doing.
Yep.
But it does, and if you don't know that, it makes the experience fucking sing because it will always be exciting. Always.
Yep, because at every point, like, you can do terribly for a while, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you're doing great, and you're like, oh, I am good at games, and you have a great time.
The problem is that I think too much about game design, so those kinds of illusions don't work on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing is that I noticed that in Resident Evil 4. I noticed specifically when my brother Nick was stuck in the castle that he was, like, on this one... I'm sure it's a famous fucking encounter. Like, you go into the room and there's, like, guys that rush in from either side and there's, like, a balcony or a bridge up ahead.
Then you have Ashley... Is her name?
I don't think you have Ashley at that moment. No, you do have her at that moment.
You do, because that's the risk that she's gonna get taken, and you have to, like, if you have the really powerful gun, you can shoot through the shields because a couple of them have shields, and those are the really difficult ones.
Yeah, and he was stuck on that long enough that I noticed that, you know, on one of his retries there was less enemies.
Yeah,
I'm like, they removed a guy. There was definitely a guy with a mace and a shield right over there. He's not there anymore, and I'm like, oh. They're adjusting it based on what's happening. And as soon as that happens, that's where I lose any motivation to get any better. That is where I lose motivation to learn more about it. I'm like, the game will eventually solve itself for me. And that's why I do not like that as a design thing. But, like, if I were... I mean, philosophically, I don't like it as a designer. But as a designer, trying to create a great experience for someone...
That's the thing. That was the point I was going to make. Is, like, it really, really depends on what the dev is trying to create. Do they want to create a Dark Souls experience where you're going to go through this wall, even if you're going to have to hit your head 1,000 times? Or do they want to get an experience where you're going to go through this wall even if we have to change it to plywood? You're going to go through it even if we have to play it to balsa wood. You're going to go through it because we want you to experience the story and have fun.
The thing is that Dark Souls ends up being the more immersive and, like...
visceral, I would say.
I just experience it differently. Like, I never beat Resident Evil 4 because I watched Nick beat it, and it was such an entertaining experience just to watch him. But, like, what's the motivation of replaying it?
Oh, just experience it again.
Yeah, but, like...
Also, notably, a lot of the people who had Resident Evil 4 when it was out that was, like, one of the 5 games they had.
Yeah, because there wasn't many good games on the GameCube back then.
Yeah. But, like, controversially, like, I beat Resident Evil 8, which is one of my other favorites besides 4, and I've never at any point been like, I should go back.
Mm-hmm.
I even tried to go back. There's challenge stuff. Like there's also like other challenges you can do where you increase the difficulty to a certain point. There's all sorts of stuff that they have in there if you want it, but like I don't think a lot of people really go for it.
All of my truly favorite games I replay over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah, I know that's the thing because you've played it, Dark Souls 1 a million times or
Yeah.
whatever. You have more hours in that than Mike.
And it doesn't. I'm not interested in just playing every single FromSoft game because
No.
what's happening is like the Dark Souls. I'm really attached to that knowledge side. I love writing the Dark Souls guide. Like I know that there's already a billion guides for Dark Souls on the internet, but the guide that I am writing is this experience that I have that makes the game,
Fun.
beautiful because it is such a good JRPG on top of being such a good action game.
You see, I'm different in this regard. I almost never replay any games I've ever played. I actually kind of can't. It depends. So, I in my head I market this or not market this. I link this to when I first beat Fallout 3, which I think I've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you first beat Fallout 3 and you don't have the DLC, you just beat the game.
Yeah.
That
I remember
was
us having
like
that discussion.
devastating to me at the time because I really wanted to keep playing it and I felt like betrayed by the video game. So now I simply never beat those games ever. I get to a certain point in Skyrim and then I never go for the main story. I don't think I've ever even had the spell that grounds dragons.
So you technically have left this door open for yourself to always go back to Skyrim and just keep playing Skyrim.
That's what I'm talking about. I need to do that if I want to ever come back to a game. Because, like, if I do beat it, it's done. I'm not playing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much no matter what. There was a game I did this with recently where I did end up beating it. I can't remember what it was. It might have been... It wasn't Fallout 4. It wasn't Skyrim. I don't remember what game it was. But that's just how I play games. I can't... If I want to be able to come back to this, I can't really beat it.
So what was the last game you just beat and you just had a good experience with and you're like, this is a good game, I'm done with it now?
That's a really good question. Let me go on to Steam and see if I can figure that out.
Because I think what you're describing is a pretty common experience because the most popular kinds of games right now are open-ended. They are, multiplayer games, which never have an end, or they are massive single-player games with so much content they never need to end. You know what I mean? And that's not how because I admit that I have a weird approach to video games compared to most people. My brain was rotten by Metroid Fusion at the age of 10, and now everything is living up to that standard. But I do like a complete experience, and I like one that is I can complete in a reasonable amount of time, and I can experience everything on my first playthrough. But the best ones are the ones that are deep enough that I can still keep on going back to.
So I can give kind of two examples-ish, sort of, kind of, not really. The real example is Blueprints.
Mm-hmm.
I have beaten Blueprints. I haven't, like, done everything in Blueprints, but I got to the end of it. I understand what's going to happen in the story.
You don't think you're going to go back to it?
I'm probably not going to go back to it, but that's mostly because after I did beat it, I was trying to get the rest of the stuff, and I needed things to pop up, and they just never did, and I was like, I don't want to have to do this for, like, 10 hours.
That's at that point, that's when I started using the guide.
Well,
I have no shame about using guides.
Blueprints is a roguelike thing. It wasn't that they weren't popping up because they can't pop up. It's because they just were not showing up in the deck, and I needed other things. If I wanted to affect that, I needed other things to show up, and they weren't showing up. So I needed the deck to go in my favor, at least in one way, and they never really did. After I beat the game, the other game I can point to would be just like games in UFO 50.
Yeah,
I beat a few of those. Like Mortal was pretty fun.
Those are nice, short, sweet action games.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm never gonna play Mortal again.
No, you're not gonna try to get the cherry?
Fuck no. Do you know what the cherry for that is?
Yeah, it's tricky.
You have to get like 20. You have to like end the game with like 50 lives, which is fuck that. I don't want to do that. Especially because the way I played fucking Mortal was, every level I'd go, okay, I need to maintain at least 10 lives. I've died. Restart the whole game. Start from the beginning.
It sounds like you already prepped yourself to start doing that cherry run, though.
But
Because a lot of people who play Mortal, the way they did it was fly by the seat of their pants. This is the number of guys I have left going from this level. This is how many I've got going into the next level.
No.
Let's see how well I can do.
No.
I didn't play that way. I didn't find it very fun to play that way. I found it very stressful.
No,
I was like, no, I need to replay and I need more guys.
I need more guys. I need to have a buffer of men. If I don't have a buffer of men, I will lose.
Well, the cherry objective is to try to have an absurdly high buffer of men.
I think it's like 80, maybe 50 or 80. It's one of those two numbers. But like, yeah, I ended up with like 35, and I'm like, the idea of going back and trying to optimize every single encounter.
There's only 8 levels.
But that's not every encounter, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Every encounter is there's a thing here. You need to figure out how to do. You need to figure out how to get this platform to drop with only 2 guys dead. That's impossible.
Yeah.
You need 3.
I haven't, obviously, but Mortal is the exact kind of experience. I can imagine myself replaying that first level over and over and over again just to see how many guys I can have by the end.
Nah.
And, like, if I can get an absurdly high count at the end of level 1 and I can move on to level 2, I can see that. Like, that's kind of how I played Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Like, I got really into the time trials in those.
Like, I get it. I understand your point of view, but when I think about doing that, I'm like, I could just look up a guide, and that would be the solve.
I would point out that, like, because I like JRPGs, and you don't really care for them.
No,
that's
really.
where that types of knowledge, types of difficulty, affects things. And if I didn't want to talk about Silksong, but to return to that, going back to the type of difficulty in Silksong, one thing I pointed out was that enemies are not one-hit kill; they're like an involved affair. Like every basic enemy is going to have at least 3 hits to finish off. You need to do a combat with them.
Yep.
You know? And my kind of experimental, like, when I play Dark Souls, I got the Drake Sword. I maximized that damage, so I didn't have to fucking learn how to fight a Baldur Knight. I could just figure out how to kill it in one hit.
Yeah.
And, like, I've played enough Dark Souls that obviously I've gotten to the point past that, but not until, like, my 10th playthrough.
Right.
Like, now I can beat the game soul level 1.
Sure.
I have beaten it at soul level 1. But exploring Dark Souls as a world, like, the first time was a lot easier without those fucking combat encounters getting in the way.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Because you can kind of skip them or just, like, cheese them or whatever you need to do.
I mean, it feels, like, sometimes it feels like cheesing, but most of the time it's like, no, just upgrade your weapons. Do more damage. Like, the basic Dark Souls problem. Anyone who wants to try out Dark Souls for the first time, I don't know if any of our listeners have never played Dark Souls, here's the secret. Do more damage.
Okay.
Every difficult encounter is solved by more damage.
I don't think that people
It
are
is.
I agree with you, but I don't think people are going to resonate with that explanation.
I mean, maybe. Like, the personal journey of loving
kinda
Dark
like-
Souls is figuring out where that damage comes from.
It's kind of like playing a racing game. Like, if you want to get into racing games, go faster.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
That's
trick.
true, but, like, that's not a very apt explanation, you know?
You can do more damage by leveling up. You can do more damage by upgrading your weapons. You can do more damage by finding new weapons, by trying out spells.
You can focus your attention on getting stuff. You can have, like, weapons and everything and little consumables if you want. You can do a lot of stuff.
But your number one goal should be to do more damage. And if you can do more damage, then you get through anything.
Yep. And timing. Do timing. Time it.
And balancing in Blight Town. And also just weird and esoteric knowledge checks every once in a while. It's like, hey, are you supposed to know there's an illusionary wall there? No, fuck you.
All right.
We're running out of time. I think we can keep on talking about difficulty forever, though.
Probably, but, like, we're not going to do it now.
Did we learn anything here today?
Me? I knew everything you were going to tell me. I mean, pretty much. Did you want to quickly go over the Ghosts and Goblins thing? Was there anything you wanted to say in particular to what I watched?
No, I mean, Ghosts and Goblins, I just wanted to have an idea of, like, the way Ghosts and Goblins is overwhelmingly difficult.
Right, okay.
In a way that's different than how Silksong is difficult, the way Dark Souls is difficult, the way the last levels in Mario games are difficult, the way that Metroid is difficult, you know?
Yep.
There's so many different ways of doing difficulty.
So once you do a difficulty of a game where the difficulty is playing it. Oh, wait, they did that. It was Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa, or Shenmue 3.
Shenmue 3. The real trick is, like, how do you do the easy mode? Like, that'll be our starting topic next episode. Ben tries to brainstorm ways to implement a Dark Souls easy mode.
Yeah, I just don't think there is a good way.
No blanket one way.
All right. Thank you guys for checking us out and listening. Hope you've gotten this far. Thank you for watching if you watch on YouTube, or listen if you listened on Spotify. But I think we're gonna get out of here.
Bye, listeners.
Bye, guys. Bye.